What's up YouTube, I'm Vaughn and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, competitive games from tabletop to video games, and today we are reviewing my Beelzemon deck that got us first place last week, Wednesday night Beelzemon Cup, so super excited. Now let me tell you, this deck is incredible. Now there is one minor switch that we're doing for upcoming tournaments, so we're going to be against probably a very diverse format because I don't think we're going to be playing against that much purple decks afterwards because everyone's kind of tired of playing purple. But there is minor things that I'm going to point out that I'm going to be doing some switches. Now, before we begin, friendly reminder, as always, to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel a lot and I do really appreciate it. So we're going to just take this one out because it's just for the side. And surprisingly, we're just starting something different. We're going to start with the option cards, okay? Because the options is what's going to really define the deck and explain even further how the deck really functions. Because yes, it might seem like a helmet deck, but it's really not. It's one that you really have to build up and strategize for follow-up turns, and you're always constantly preparing yourself for the follow-up turns and also the orders that you are placing some cards when you put it in the bottom of your deck. So these are really key factors that you have to consider and you always have to remember during your game. So starting first, we are playing 4 Darkness Waves, and yes, it's a very fast-paced deck. This card allows you to pretty much just trust 3 cards and really go off. There's many times that I have played Darkness Wave and I was able to get Beelzemon out on that turn or the next turn by just playing 1 card and by spending only 1 memory and having like an established like board or a beginning for your next turn to actually go off is quite well. So it's definitely necessary to play for this in this specific build. Then we have 4 Miss Memory Boost, which is also mandatory. It's a bit higher than Darkness Wave, but at the same time, for your follow-up turn, you are at least having 2 extra additional memories. So you're not really worried about any memories at all. And this is the best thing about this deck, is that it's just so easy to obtain memory constantly. Then we have Barrage at 4. Now, this is what helps you with follow-up plays all the time. When you're trashing and it gets trashed, this is where you're going to go and start building up and establishing for your follow-up turn what you're going to add back, and it's really good. So this is a really good card no matter where it is. If it's in your hand, yes, 7 is not that expensive for this deck. It's very easy to actually gain quite a bit of memory, so 7 is not that bad just to play it. But if it's in your security, it's really good. You get to pop something. If it gets trashed, you get to get the purple Digimon or Tamer. You don't really need the Tamers, but to get your follow-up for the purple Digimon is quite good. So this is why you want to max out, because we're not really focusing on following the regular routine for leveling. So this is what's going to skip that. Then finally, we have 4 Death Slingers. Now, definitely mandatory because we're just gaining memory. We're just trashing constantly, and we just want to trash cards that just really benefits us constantly. So if we have the majority of the deck, all cards that have ability when trash, then you know that the consistency of the deck is working quite well. Now for Tamers, we're actually only playing 2 Ali Coco because 1, yes, we could add it. This is another reason why we have this, but also it's not necessary to actually play this because you know what? It's good that when we declare an attack with the Beelzemon, we could turn into a blast mode, which does occur time to time. But many times I actually just play the blast mode from hand because it's just a Digivolution for 1, since you usually have 30 or more cards in your trash, so it's not really too necessary. So that's also a reason why I have it at 2, is because we could win games without having a Tamer up. We're pretty much all set, but if we really do need it, at least we have the Barrage that could add it back or with ease. If it was in a security and gets played like that, that's even better. Now we're going to get into the Digimon. So starting with the Digi-Egg is Demi-Meramon. Now, there is a reason why we're not playing the Yaman or Pokemon. So this deck needs draw powers, because since we're not doing a regular routine for the Digivolutions, we're not really doing excessively on draw powers. So Demi is the one that lets you fill up a bit. So after we're trashing quite a bit already, it's good to have additional draws as well to fill up your hand, to show you more options and even follow up play. So this is why Demi is the ideal deck if you are trashing like severely. If you are trashing like 10 cards on your first turn, this is the best card to actually have as a Digi 8, because it's not really necessary to have cards to trash even more if it's not really benefiting you for follow-up play, while Demi gives you more options and fills that hand since you're not really doing as much Digivolution. Next, we have Candlemon F4. So Candlemon acts as like the Impmon that like trashes 3, but it's on play, so trashes 2. And then it has the deletion. If you have 10 or more, trash 1 card. Now, let me tell you that the biggest misplay I've seen with people that always forgetting abilities is that you have to remember when you are trashing or deleting, you have to put the physical card into your trash, because Candlemon, when you have 10 or more, let's say you have 9 in your trash, okay, and it gets deleted, yes, you will draw, because when the ability of deletion occurs, the physical card is actually in the trash. And I see a lot of people that are doing like, they're used to doing like the deletion effect while it's still like on the board, like the physical card. But that's, if you're playing constantly like that, that is going to make you misplay a lot in this deck, because this deck matters of the quantity of cards you have in the trash, and also of the effects lineup that you're choosing to trigger. Because let's say that some miracle this gets trashed and this gets deleted at the same time, okay? And in total, it's like 10 cards now. Now, you're not going to trigger this first, because if you trigger this first, then you won't be able to trigger Candlemon. So you want to choose the order very specific. You want to go and use Candlemon first, draw the card, and then use Barrage to go and set it. So that is very important to keep in mind, is there's order, but also to have the physical card in your trash constantly, so you don't lose any count, because that's where you're going to have the biggest misplay if you don't. And I've seen many people playing like Beelzemon that they always forget abilities or do misplays because they always leave the cards like on the board instead of putting the physical card in the actual trash where it's supposed to. Next, we have, I believe, 3 Impmons from BT2. It's not really necessary to play 4. Like, to be really honest, like if you ever want to choose to cut down, you could actually play it at 3. It's not that bad. Or just at 2. So that's definitely a different option. It's just a free name, and it's pretty good because it trashes 3 cards when it gets deleted. So this and Candlemon, pretty all set. It's just Candlemon is slightly better because it's on play, and this is something you could do with first turn right away, play it, trash 2. Well, Impmon, not necessarily. Usually it's always the following turn that you're going to be able to trash 3. So this is why I rather max out more on Candlemon than the Impmon. Next, we have 4 Impmon from EX2, because this thing is just going to start trashing like crazy. So many times that I have played like Darkness Wave, and I got literally, I'm not even kidding, get 2 of these, and that's like an additional 6 cards, so you're just all set. So you really want to max out on the Impmon X2. And also the fact that you gain 3000 DP for your Beelzemon is actually not bad, because especially if you go and you're like, okay, Beelzemon Blast Mode, now it's at 17, which is a really big DP. But even like for the regular one, like 15 DP is quite good as well. So definitely it's an amazing card, and you have to play 4. Another card that you have to play 4 is the Impmon ST14. Now, the structure deck Impmon, I've seen some builds is less and some are more, but you have to realize that those builds are not usually focused on trashing up too much. So compared to this build, this trashes a lot. So you have to really pay attention of how much you're trashing, how much cards you have left in your deck, because this is what's going to speed up the process for the Digivolution. And also the effect is quite good for the inherent. You get to delete a Digimon level 3 when a card is trashed, so that's very good, and it just builds up for follow-up. Same thing with the Impmon. Another thing that I forgot to mention is like the on-play to reveal the top 4. Majority of the time when you use that, it's actually to stack your deck in a specific way. So for the top 4 cards, if you got no Beelzemon, no Tamers, then those 4 cards, make sure you put in a specific order that works for follow-up. So you don't want to put like, let's say, Darkness Wave like after him. If it was another Impmon, you want to put before. You want to put as much of the energy, the memory gain all clumped together. So if you have two cards that gains memories, you want to put them together instead of having them separate. So if you're doing like big mills like 4 or 3, then at least it would trigger like 2 instead of just possibility just the 1. So that's very important actually, is to always retain a memory of the cards that you put in a specific way when you're using like your Impmon. But yeah. Then for level 4s, we are playing only 4 Wizamons. It's not really necessary to play like cut it down or play any other level 4s, because like the barrage that I showed you, this pretty much gets the level 4, so it's very easy just to get the Wizamon back. And honestly, so I was playing Somon, or is it Bakumon? So I was playing the level 4 that gains the memory when you trash the inherit. I took it out completely because there was no point. Barrage adds the level 4, so if you need a level 4, it's very easy to obtain. Wizamon gains the memory, but also we've been using a lot of the when attacking ability, which is not once per turn, by the way. So if you have Beelzemon Blast mode because you attacked with a Beelzemon and you use the ability, and then when you attack with the Beelzemon Blast mode, you could actually use his ability as many times as you want, as long as you keep on attacking. So you can actually use it twice, and then if you have any follow-up for trashing and to gain more memory, you could actually do that. That is a very important combo that you have to keep in mind when you are stacking your deck, and also it could prevent you from decking out as well. All right, next we have 3 Skull Santamon. Yeah, we don't really need 4, and also so like even 3 is a tad bit excessive. You could actually cut it down to 2 if you would like, but if you were, I could definitely cut these down and change the build a bit, but you know what? It still works. It's still pretty consistent. You can add it to your hand, and also when you Digivolve, you get to add a Demon Lord, Trash 2. So it's perfect, and it gains a memory when you trash. So 3 is not bad, but you could definitely cut it down to 2 if you like. Next, for the Beelzemons now. We have 2 Beelzemon from the structure deck. You do not need more than just 2. This specific one is perfect at 2, and that's it. You don't need to really go excessive with it. I know the ability is amazing, but you know what? The other Beelzemons are good as well. This one, it just gives you a little bit free memory as well per every 10 cards that you have and trash. But so far for consistency wise, it's been being very beneficial at 2 only. Then we have 2 EX2 Beelzemon, which is definitely mandatory because when trash you get to play the Impmon, but also the ability to pop. This thing really kills a lot of Digimon, especially that we're getting quite a bit of energy. My bad. Quite a bit of cards in trash. You're able to actually go and delete even level 6 Digimons with ease. So it's definitely extremely good, and it's when attacking or when Digivolving. There's many times that if I accumulate quite a bit of energy, memory. Why do I keep on saying energy? Wow. Well, I accumulate quite a bit of memory, I could actually just hard play it, and it won't even put my opponent that much in memory. So very beneficial. Then we have 2 BT2 Beelzemon. Now, one of them is actually being replaced with the Beelzemon X2, so it's going to be playing 3. But for the tournament, I was playing 2 of these. Now, the reason why we play this now, I know some of you might disagree, like, oh, that's horrible. But you have to understand, it's so easy to Digivolve, Warp Digivolve from your board and trash over your Impmons, like with ease, even doing some like leveling Digivolve as well. But we have nothing to really Warp Digivolve unless we actually play this. And this actually helps many times and won me many games because I actually, off the bat, played it, and honestly, cost 4 doesn't matter. You get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon, and for the follow-up turn or even the same turn, if you go and you have the blast mode or you have the tamer, you could actually go right off the bat and Digivolve it for the blast mode and start popping off like that, and you just skip 2 Digivolutions as well. And it worked on pretty much any Impmon, not just the one that actually swings from the structure deck to Digivolve. So it's definitely an extremely good card, and I do recommend to actually play one of it because it actually helps in a lot of specific situations. Next, finally, we have 4 Beelzemon Blast Mode from the structure deck. Now, let me tell you, I am not playing the other Blast Mode. I have it. It's not necessary. It's not as good as it is today's format, and honestly, it's a lot better because this actually gives you the additional 3 Digivolution. 3 memory, so you're able to actually hard digivolve it for 4, so it only costs 1, so it unsuspends, and then you have 20 more, gain 3, so costs 1 for a digivolution. Also, if it's played from the trash because of your tamer, okay, that's just free digivolution right there. And at the same time, since it is attacking twice, you are able to get that additional security, and especially if you use his effect as well to actually gain the extra security, that means you're doing 2 checks with this, and then you're doing another 2 checks with this, which pretty much is like the equivalent of if we actually use the other Beelzemon Blast Mode to do the additional checks, but we're not spending as much memory at the same time. So that's why it's a lot beneficial to actually play just 4 of these. And also, if this gets trashed, you get to pop level 3 or lower Digimon, but increase the level by 10 cards, which is very easy. So you could actually potentially even pop level 6s with this. Level 7s is very unlikely unless if you have the Slinger. So pretty much these are pretty much your only 2 options for popping level 7s usually. It's very hard to do it with any of the Beelzemons. And that's it for a deck profile. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And if you want a sneak peek of future products we're planning to review here on the channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.